Hi, I'm Joby, and this is The Art of Courage, where I show you how to make fear and anxiety afraid of you. Today's topic, social anxieties. Now we're going to break down what social anxieties are, how they form, how you have them. We're going to end with this little exercise that I put together myself that really helped me overcome a lot of my social anxieties over time. So let's get to it. Let's start with that worst case what if. Social anxieties put a lot of negative what ifs in our heads. You know, what if I go and I look stupid? What if they don't like me? What if I do something embarrassing? You know, or what if something bad happens there? What if there's violence? What if there's disaster? What if there's pain? All of these what ifs socially appear and sit on our shelf. Now remember what anxiety is. We broke this down in a previous video, and we'll do a quick recap here involving social anxieties. Remember what anxiety is? Anxiety is the feeling of your mind and heart leaving the present moment, going into the past with a shopping cart. And you, in an instant, start loading that cart with worst case scenario outcomes that you perceive could happen based on what you've experienced before or heard from others or mostly saw in media and social media. So socially, if you've been rejected before, if you've been made fun of or bullied, maybe you had a terrible experience socially where you were embarrassed, or you didn't know what to say to these people and it was awkward, you put all of that on the shelf. And so when that cart goes back there, those are all the things you load into the cart. And then you, in an instant, unload that into the unknown future. So the anxious or socially anxious mindset is what happened then to myself and others socially that was bad is what's about to happen. You haven't even shown up yet. You haven't even gone to this thing. You haven't even connected with these people yet, but this is where your mind goes. The worst case then is what's going to happen. So what's the use in even showing up? Now, how do social anxieties work? Why do they cause so much anxiety in you? Well, social anxieties were sort of born in you growing up in the phase of life where your wiring, so to speak, is starting to be formed, your nervous system. You may have developed something called external referencing. Now, what is external referencing? It's where you allow your external world to control the piece of your internal world. You learned this as a kid to kind of navigate the environment you were in learning how to connect to the relationships in your life. For instance, if you had a strong environment, if you had strong personalities, or unpredictable personalities in your life, you had to do something called navigating and compensating. So you had a scanner that would scan your environment, and you had to quickly figure out the rules of engagement, how to keep the peace, what does the person need to balance and be in good mood or bad mood. You have to predict and plan what to say to get a specific reaction from a person in order to, again, keep the peace or protect yourself. So that is externally referencing. Your external world is going to decide your internal world. So the pattern would be when you're alone, you're okay. You are yourself. The moment there's a person that enters your world, you shut off you and the scanner goes up, and now your focus is on them, the external. You learned early that the external overrides any say on your peace internally. Your needs and wants kind of take a back seat to the needs and wants of the people in front of you. So as you become an adult and you add more people and more environments, you scan more and it becomes more taxing on your inner peace. Social anxieties can really be born in our need to make sure that we're going to be okay. And given that the world is incredibly unpredictable, you have millions of people that are making choices, perhaps not in your favor, this can be exhausting mentally before you even show up. So how do you stop externally referencing in social settings? How do you show up confident where your internal peace is not dictated by the external setting? Well, you have to see people differently. Not only do you have to see other people differently, but you have to see yourself differently. So let's focus on that for a second. This is something that I kind of came up with. It's a perspective that I took on that really helped me see myself differently, but more importantly, helped me see others and how to have boundaries with them. I had to see myself not as a person, but as a city. So imagine that you are a city, right? You are complex. You are built up layer by layer over time. And because of this, you are incredibly unique. You have a different speed than everyone else. You have a different industry than everyone else. You might be a big city. You might be a small country city. You have different weather. You have different terrain. You have a different mode of operation, right? And here's the best part. You are the mayor of your city. You control everything that happens. Other people are cities too. They are unique. They are complex. You are not the mayor of their city. All you can do is build bridges to other people. You can visit and see and get to know the best qualities of those people, the way you do when you travel. And this is what people can do with you. And you know what? People do love visiting you. There are things about you that are incredibly unique and beautiful that people really enjoy. The same way that you talk about visiting Kyoto, Japan, and how good the food was, or how nice the people were, or the way that you go to the Midwest and describe the mountains. There are things about you that people love, and there are things about other people that you love when you visit them. But you cannot walk into another person's city and decide what buildings need to be knocked down. The moment you say you should do this, you are now the dictator of someone else's city. And the same with someone visiting you. You and you alone are the mayor of your city. So you really have to take ownership of who you are as a city, right? Des Moines, Iowa isn't angry and depressed that they're not getting the same amount of visitors and tourists that New York City is getting. Love your uniqueness. You are on the map and you deserve to be on the map just like everyone else. So you understand the importance of seeing yourself as valuable and unique, but you also see how your connection with others should be. Getting to know people, building bridges to them, not trying to own them or allow them to own you. There's something really important with social anxieties that you also need to understand, and that is you have to want to have a great, memorable life. You have to want amazing moments in your life. The only way that this is going to happen is if you show up. And unfortunately, a massive contributor to having great moments in life that become great memories involve your connection to people. You're never going to feel like it. Just show up. And to help me with just showing up, I kind of created this worksheet. So we're going to create one right now. I want you to draw 4 columns like this. All right. Now, this first column, I want you to write down what it is that, what is the feared event? What is it? Is it a thing, or is it going to meet certain people? This is the thing. This is what it is. Just write it down. So now the second column, before you actually do it, I want you to write kind of like a little scale here, 1 to 5. I want you to rate how you think it's going to go. 1 being terrible and 5 being good. Most of us, we're going to write maybe like we're going to kind of circle a 2 here, right? We have to go to it. I want to go to it. I want to go to this concert, but I'm going to say it's going to be a 2. It's going to be terrible. And then underneath that, I want you to write down why. Why do you think it's going to be a 2? Well, it's going to be in a busy part of the city, like there's going to be traffic, and write down all of your bad what ifs from anxiety. Write those down. And so after you've done that, now comes the important part. Just show up. Go. Force yourself to go. If you don't have the courage to go, call and ask someone to go with you. I actually had that. I had a social mentor, this guy named Scott Reynolds. He does everything. He does everything cool. And I asked him, invite me. Just invite me all the time, and I will go with you. If I go with someone who already knows the ropes and has no problems showing up to things. Now this second part of the document, after you come back, you're going to write yes and no. So this section is, are you glad you went? Yes or no. Circle it. Now write down what happened. Well, I met this cool person, or I had this cool conversation. There was traffic, but we still found parking, and it was actually kind of funny how we found the parking. We had to walk there, and then we got there, and then I met all these cool people. I talked to this one person. I got their info. Turns out they know this other friend of mine, right? Write that stuff down. Now, do you see what happened? The what if, perceived anxiety, worst case past, worst case future, didn't want to go. And then you showed up, and look what happened. You created memories. You met interesting cities. You visited interesting cities, meaning people. And these are things that you stock on your shelves, so that the next time you're afraid of going somewhere, you remember all of these great things that happened. And then now the negative what if kind of starts to turn into a good what if. And let's just say you had a terrible time. Let's just say it wasn't a 2, it was a 1, and it was terrible. Still write that down. Because you know what happened? You're okay, and you have some amazing memories. In fact, we kind of want more memorable moments in life than just good moments, right? So continue to do this. I actually have this large document that I created. And as you look at it as a whole, when you have like 6 or 7 of these things, or even more on there, you're going to start seeing a lot of, yes, I'm glad I went. Yes, I'm glad I went. Look at all these great things that happened. And each time you never felt like going. In social settings, I do still have a hard time turning off the scanner. So I do a few things to help with that. When I go to public places, if it's a restaurant, I sit facing the walls or facing away from TVs, away from the hustle and bustle of where the rest of the restaurant is, to sort of limit distraction. So I put my back to the most commotion. Secondly, I will often wear earplugs to help limit the noise of people and distraction of people around me. I have earplugs that are clear, still allow me to hear the person in front of me. They don't completely block out the sound. Sometimes movie theaters will also give you headphones. I will talk to the person and say, hey, do you have hearing impaired headphones? And they'll give you headphones that play the sound of the film. And this also helps me limit my distraction of people around me. It keeps me focused on the film itself. With starting conversations, I want to recommend this little thing that I came up with called alas. Now, I know the word alas, A-L-A-S, means, grief or depression, but this is how I remember. A, ask. L, listen. A, affirm. And S, share. This is how I approach meeting people or having conversations. I ask questions, and then I listen, and then I affirm them from what they said, and then I share a little bit about myself. The reason I do this is because when I approach a social setting, I imagine that I'm prospecting. I'm getting to know, visiting a city, and I'm getting to know something about them. I'm searching for a commonality. So that is the point of my questions, is that I'm looking for a common interest or something that I know about that I can just sort of stay there and continue a conversation with. But until then, I ask questions. I do a lot of listening. It takes a lot of the burden off of me of having to be in the spotlight or center of attention, right? Listen. And then I affirm. I repeat back to them what they said, or I say, wow, that's really cool. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And then I talk about myself a little bit in relation to that. What really helps too in the questions to ask is I actually kind of came up with a list. I wrote about 5 or 6 questions that I thought this would be good to just have in my holster. One of them, it has a little bit of humor. I ask, for instance, if I'm at a birthday party for someone named Gary in Los Feliz, California, I'll ask a person, so what do you like to do when you're not at a birthday party in Los Feliz for someone named Gary? Right? So I kind of add a little bit of humor to it, and I'm essentially asking them what they like to do. And then I'm prospecting. I'm looking for a commonality that I can then talk to them about. Well, I really hope that something in here has helped you in your social anxieties. Again, this is going to take a lot of practice. That's the only way you're going to get through this, is with some practice. If you do anything, just create that worksheet and just start showing up. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and send this video to anyone that you think it could help. Again, I'm Joby. Thanks for watching. Take care.